What's up, everybody? So, time for another story time episode. This is your first one. I've been having story time at night just because I know that this is a particularly stressful time for everybody. It's been a stressful time for me, and when my anxiety is bad, I cannot stay in the bed, and so I will get up and go somewhere else and read to help take my anxiety brain off of whatever it's focused on. In this case, the apocalypse, and give it a chance to sort of digest something else. So I've been sharing that with you all. I've been reading from Richard Kadrey's Sandman Slim. I love this book. I'm a huge fan of his. If you like any of what I'm reading right now, this series is about 10 books long now. It's been going on for a decade, and this is one of the titles that I buy every year as soon as he puts out whatever's next in the series. I used to hand sell the hell out of it when I was working at Barnes & Noble. But it's like if you like Constantine or Supernatural, it's sort of got an irreverent sense of humor, and it's, magic and hell and demons and anti-heroes and crime solving and all that fun stuff thrown together. So I just had read the first part of this so far yesterday. James Stark, our main character, escaped from hell and returned to LA. He found the only punk-tiki bar in LA, and he cut some video store clerk's head off. And now he's sort of looking for what the next move is on his personal path to vengeance against the people who sent him to hell. So there's no real book club element to this. I have no expectations. If you want to talk to me about the book after I'm done reading or anything like that, I'm happy to talk stories or whatever. I can't see the comments from where I am here. And to be honest, the idea is to just kind of give you something to zone out to. So if, you were to put this on and fall asleep in the middle of it, I think that's a success. So if that sounds like a good time, I guess I'll pick up where I left off last night with Richard Kadrey's Sandman Slim. It's weird starting over from zero. It changes the scale of your ambitions. Instead of fantasizing about what kind of mansion you'll buy when you win the lottery, you ask yourself, do I own socks? Do I have a toothbrush? Do I have a shirt that's not covered in blood? Money is strange, too, if you haven't used it for a while. Hell is mostly a barter economy, especially among the high and mighty. Having to buy something is a massive social faux pas. It means that you don't have anything good enough to trade of your or you aren't clever enough to swindle your way to your heart's desire. Brad Pitt's wad seemed like a fortune when I counted it, but I blow through most of it in a couple of hours. The big money goes for a few choice items, a new pair of Caterpillar steel-toed boots, because steel is always a good idea. I also pick up a long, light overcoat. There's a reason spies and private eyes wear trench coats, all in those old movies. They're big enough to hide a multitude of sins, especially the kind with bullets. I pick up a long charcoal gray silk overcoat at a West Hollywood rent boy boutique. Anything heavier than silk will look ridiculous in LA, and wearing a black overcoat is nature's way of telling you to lay off the boho. Down on Melrose, the movie biz show-offs and trust fund bikers meet at smart cafes for lattes and burgers that cost as much as a facelift. Out in front of the cafes stretch long, gleaming lines of $40,000 Harleys that have never seen a speck of dust or a splash of mud. As much as these clowns set off the self-righteous parts of my white trash ego, I know there's one good thing about them. They demand the best bike gear available. At a bike shop that's laid out more like a museum than a store, I pick up leather race pants and an armored motocross jacket. After getting shot and almost stun-gunned, I like the idea of having a layer of Kevlar between the world and me. I also get a Kevlar jacket liner, a kind of long-sleeve mesh shirt with armored panels sewn in. I'll wear the liner under the overcoat and hope it's not so bulky that I look like a robot in a bathrobe. I put on my new boots, pants, and the motocross jacket in one of the dressing rooms and toss my burn stuff into the trash on the way out of the store. That's just about the last of it, I think. The last physical connections to my former life. The only thing left is the Germs t-shirt, now full of blood and bullet holes, stuffed under the mattress back at Max Overdrive. Maybe I should have tossed it with the rest, but Alice gave it to me, so it stays with me until I crash and burn for good. When I parked the Aveo earlier, I left the 45 under the driver's seat. I do a switch when I get back, putting the 45 in the bag with my new coat and leaving the Aveo's keys on the seat. Maybe some desperate for wheels kid will find it, or a few homeless guys can turn it into a condo. I carry my bags down Melrose to do some car shopping. There's only one way to steal a car and not feel guilty about it, and that's to steal the most expensive car you can find. That way, you know it carries the maximum insurance possible, so whatever happens, the owner is covered. I pick out a black Mercedes S600, go around to the driver's side, and using my body to block the view, stab the bone knife into the lock. I hold my breath. The car chirps once and the lock pops. I slide in with my bags, jam the knife in the ignition, and the engine purrs to life. I do a check of the mirrors and windows. No one is even looking at me. Stepping on the gas, I guide the Mercedes into the afternoon traffic. The building is like the Sphinx, eternal and unchanging, exactly as I remember it. Some wrought iron bars bolted over the first floor windows. The chicken wire embedded glass in the upper floor windows reveals dusty curtains and tattered window shades. The building manager's window is easy to spot. There are shreds of the gold leaf letters that once spelled out the safe company's name. Instead of a curtain, the manager's window is covered in foil. I've always wondered what goes on in there and that he's so desperate to keep out the light. Someday, I'll have to find out. I watch the building for the time it takes me to smoke 3 cigarettes. Nothing unusual or even interesting happens. Cars drive by. An old woman wanders by, pulling a couple of tired-looking Jack Russells. I'm not sure about the wisdom of walking into the place in broad daylight, but I'm not getting any demonic vibes off the place. I snap the Veritas off its chain and give it a quick flip inside the car. Should I go in or not? The coin comes down with the Morningstar side up. The Hellion script around the edges read, "Go back to the store and talk to the pretty girl." Nice. My magic coin is trying to get me laid. While I appreciate the thought, the timing stinks. I get out of the car, tuck the 45 under my jacket, and jog across the street to the building. As usual, the front door is locked, but the side door by the loading dock is wide open. There's a freight elevator to the right of the entrance. I pull down the upper gate, which closes the elevator's wooden jaws, and hit the third floor button with the side of my fist. The elevator jerks and starts to climb. I could have stayed across the street and walked in here through a shadow. I could have walked through a shadow straight into my apartment, but fuck that. This is my home. I'm going in through the door. When the elevator hits 3, I roll up the gate and sprint right down the central corridor, then cut left. My place is at the end of a hall, just long enough to let me get a running start. The door is the original solid steel and balanced perfectly on 2 heavy metal hinges. I wouldn't have thought about doing this before, but I'm a bit stronger now. I take a few long running steps, swing my leg up, and slam my heel into the door. It pops open, the rusty lock mechanism spinning through the air like a metal frisbee. I have the 45 up and in front of me, ready for anything. "Well," says the 200-year-old Frenchman from his easy chair, "it fucking took you long enough." He stands up from a battered green recliner. He's a little taller than I remember and a little heavier, but he still has the same salt and pepper beard and close-cropped hair, the same impressive Roman nose and dark eyes that at different times might belong to your favorite uncle on Christmas morning or to the pissed-off ex-thug who's about to shove a power drill through your forehead. I just look at him. Normally I like hearing Vidocq shout fuck because he pronounces it fuck. On the other hand, of the top 10 people I didn't expect to find here, he's the entire top 5. I stay put, not moving to the right or left, orienting my body so that if I have to, I can make it out the door without looking. "Vidocq, what are you doing here?" "That's how you greet a friend after all these years?" he asks, setting the battered book he'd been reading down on the floor. "I've been waiting for you, keeping your home safe. You think I wanted to squat in this concrete shithole?" I raise the 45 and aim it at his head. "How did we meet, old man?" "Ah, you don't think it's me, no?" "You think this is some trap?" "Well, I might too, if I were you." He picks up a tumbler filled to the top with wine so red it looks black. "You and I met at a saloon. It's closed now. Blood Meridian. This was before you met lovely Alice. We were both at the bar, each chatting up the same pretty girl who stood between us. Neither of us had more than a few dollars then, so we'd employ a small memory charm on the bartender so that we could pay for drinks with the same money over and over again. When we realized what the other was doing, we forgot the pretty girl and talked about what and who we were, what and who we knew, paying the poor bartender with the same few dollars all night. No great loss from what I remember. The girl was pretty, but kind of wasted. So were we, as I recall. Our sudden loss of interest offended her. Next lifetime, I'll buy her drinks and listen to her all night long. Next lifetime. The gun suddenly feels heavy in my hand. I lower it. Vidocq, a head taller than me and half again as wide, comes over and crushes me in a long bear hug. It's good to see you, boy, he says. Like the building, Vidocq hasn't changed a bit. He looks about 45, but is old enough that he can tell you what guillotines sounded like offing the aristocracy during the French Revolution. I look around the room. It doesn't look right. Where's all my stuff? Where's Alice's? How long have you been living here? Where is everything? I ask. Alice moved out a few months after you disappeared. I saved your things and the things she left in the bedroom. Where did she go? She moved in with a friend in Echo Park. That's where she was when the terrible things happened. Mason murdered her. You can say it. I feel stupid, but I have to ask him. The friend she moved in with, was it a girl or a guy? No, a girlfriend, he says. Alice had lovers after you were gone, but none of them were very serious. You broke her heart. She wasn't the same girl. I go over to the counter that separates the living room from the kitchen. The tea kettle on the stove looks familiar, but not much else. And I'm not sure about the kettle. You checked up on her? As much as I could. She didn't really want to see anybody from your old days together. Certainly no one associated with magic. That sounds like her. She didn't like Mason or anyone else in the circle. After I was gone, she'd want to get as far away from magic as she could. But she didn't run far enough. I should have told her to leave town if something happened to me. I should have given her an escape plan. But what could happen to me? I was a golden boy. I was bulletproof. I say, thanks for trying, and thanks for keeping the place. I don't know what I would have done if I'd come in and found some asshole stranger sitting here. Vidocq picks up the bottle of red wine from the coffee table, gets a glass for me from the kitchen, and fills it to the rim. He fills his glass, raises it, and we both drink. I sit down on the couch. So, how are you? What have you been doing since I've been gone? I've been working. These days the work is all I have, he says. Thievery pays for the tools, and the work shows me the mind of God. Stealing is a lot like alchemy, you know. In each we each try to find what is beautiful and hidden and make it ours. This is funny. The whole time we've known each other, I don't remember you staying more than a few weeks anywhere. It's hard to picture you as a rent and electric bill guy. Don't insult me. I wouldn't pay a penny for this hovel. I used an old potion, a vin de mort manquis. I don't know. I painted the walls, the windows, floor, and ceiling. Yep, voila. Your home no longer exists. It is not seen or remembered, except, of course, by our funny sort of people, the Subrosa. The Subrosa. I haven't thought about them in a long time. Vidocq is Subrosa. So are Kasabian, Mason, and the rest of the circle. I'm Subrosa too, though back in the day I never thought of myself that way, even though there are maybe a few thousand of us walking around Southern California. Subrosas are the secret people who look just like you, but are different. They bank where you bank. They stand behind you in line at the coffee shop. They panhandle you for the money that you suddenly and inexplicably have to drop into their grimy hands. Some of us also talk to the dead. Some see the future, trade souls like baseball cards, or bribe angels for a peek at God's to-do list. Mostly Subrosas are the people regular people aren't supposed to know about. It's not that we don't like you. It's that you have a habit of burning us the stake when you notice us. Vidocq's alchemical supplies and burglary gear cover nearly every surface. Racks of potions, books and scrolls in Latin and Greek, alembics, test tubes, and grinding stones. On a table in a corner are the baubles he's stolen on commission. Netsukis, loose diamonds spilling from courier envelopes, passports, and computer disks. It was one of his less successful experiments that turned him immortal. He spent the last 150 years stealing things to fund his research for a cure. Well, thanks for watching the place. I'm glad you have it, I tell him. I couldn't live here without Alice. He nods solemnly. Where will you live? I'm crashing at a friend's place. There's a bathroom, a comfy bed, and all the movies you can eat. You should come by and see it. It sounds charming. I'm back here to kill some people, you know? I blurted out, trying to get out the words fast. I'm going to take out the whole magic circle. I knew that when you walked in, and I understand. I won't even try to talk you out of it, but there are things you should know before you start. I can tell this is going to be a real talk. I light a cigarette as Vidocq pours more wine. I did something much like what you're doing many years ago. Long before you or your grandparents were born, revenge is never what you think it's going to be. There's no pleasure and glory, and when it's done, your grief remains. Once a man does the things you're talking about, he will never be the same, and he can never go back to who he was before. Worst of all, no matter how many enemies you kill, you are never satisfied. There is always one more who deserves it, and when it becomes too easy to kill, it never ends. You stopped. The desire is still there, even though all the men are dead, the ones I killed and the ones who passed away during the many years I restrained myself. Worse, when it was over, I had to leave Paris, get on a ship, and come here to the land of cheeseburgers and cowboys. You are starting down a bad road, my friend. I appreciate the advice. Don't worry, I'm not here to ask for help. Don't be stupid. Of course I'll help you. We must always look after our friends, even when they are foolish, especially when they are foolish. Thank you, old man. Salute, he says, and holds out his glass. I clink mine into his. When I finish the cigarette, I take out the knife I used on Kasabian and pry up some boards under the coffee table. The oilcloth wrap containing my father's guns is still there. I pull out the bundle and set the guns on the table, one by one. A good copy of an 1861 Navy Colt revolver, modified for modern .44 caliber shells. A heavy Civil War era Lamat pistol. A Browning .45 semi-auto my granddad used on D-Day, and a Benelli M3 shotgun. They all need a good cleaning before I can use them. Sometimes, as something flashes through Vidocq's mind, I only catch a fragment of it before he pushes it away. Seeing it feels like a migraine coming on, a knife behind my eyes. What's wrong? Asked Vidocq. There's something funny going on with my head. I keep feeling and hearing things I shouldn't. Like right now, you're sweating and your heartbeat is going up. Like maybe you're a little afraid. You're back here from hell talking about murder and you're pulling guns from under my floor. Shouldn't I be a little frightened for both of us? There's other things too. I've turned kind of death proof. I can get shot, ripped apart, dropped in a Cuisinart, and I just get up and walk away. I don't understand what's happening to me. You fall into the abyss, a young magician, and you emerge as Superman. How is that possible? Well, you're the one with all the books, you tell me. Perhaps, like me, you were cursed with an inability to die. What happened to you wasn't a curse. You just decided it was. Besides, if anything, those downtown demon fuckers would make me easier to kill, so I'd get back there quicker. Perhaps it's simple biology. You're the first living man to have entered hell. Your condition might be a natural biological response, a side effect of having been in that awful place. Perhaps you should be grateful that you have this new gift to accentuate your natural magical abilities. Yeah, but I don't trust it. It means something I can't figure out, or it's a setup. Nothing that happened down there was for my benefit. Well, no, in time then. Your friends in hell will be after you soon, I suppose. Eventually, but not now. There's a war going on down there. It's fucking chaos. Lucky you. Yeah, lucky me. I get a dish towel from the kitchen, bring it back to the living room, and use it to wipe the dust from each gun. Even though I had them in the oil wrap, I can see traces of rust. I'll have to clean them for real later. So what was it like in hell? Did you try to escape? You were always such a clever magician. Yeah, clever magic doesn't get you much down there. Even when I got stronger, I couldn't cast the simplest hex until I started learning Hellion magic. Is that how you got away? No. I was the property of Azazel, one of Lucifer's generals. He made me his designated hitman. He said that Alice would be all right as long as I played along. And then she wasn't all right. I don't know how I knew, but I did. It's like these new things I can hear and feel. I gulped some wine. Before I left, I cut out Azazel's heart and left it on his altar. How did you get out? A key to anywhere in the universe I want to go. Do you have it with you? It's right here, I say, putting my hand to my chest like I'm about to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Over my heart. I took his knife, cut myself open, and put the key inside. Now I can walk through the shadows to the room with 13 doors, go anywhere I want, anytime I want. Back to hell, maybe heaven too. I don't know. I haven't opened all 13 doors. You put the key inside you? And it was made with Hellion magic? It will poison you. Everything that happened to me for 11 years poisoned me. You think one little key is going to make a difference now? This isn't good, Jimmy. Please don't call me that. I don't have that name anymore. So you are still afraid of them, afraid they can find you through your name? Not if no one uses it. Your name is who you are. It's your family. It connects you to this world. You can't give it away so easily. He took a long gulp of wine and said, Wild Bill. Especially, don't call me that. Vidocq is one of the few people who know that my full name is James Butler Hickok Stark. That's Wild Bill Hickok's name, except for the Stark. I learned to shoot and appreciate guns young because we're supposed to be direct descendants of Wild Bill, the greatest shootist of the American West. Stark was tacked on sometime after those prairie towns became cities to keep idiots from showing up at the door wanting to touch great-great-granddad's legend, or worse. There were more than a few fights and even some gunplay. The funny thing is, no one knows for sure if we really are connected to Wild Bill. Supposedly, he left a few little bastards behind in Kansas and Missouri, so it's possible. But it might just be a tall tale. My family never let facts get in the way of a good story. Wild Bill is dead. I'm just Stark. That is your family, your identity. You can't walk away from your name. I can, and I have. I'm looking for Mason. He gave me to the Hellions for power, and now I'm here to pay him back. Do you know where he is? No one sees Monsieur Fame anymore. Like God, he is a great mystery. What will you do if you find him? Kill him. And then what? Vidocq sets down his glass and steeples his fingers. What you want may not be possible. Mason is a very powerful man these days, very well protected. I've gotten through to plenty of well-protected Hellions, and I learned a few things along the way. You want to know what the first lesson was? Tell me, please. I pick up a little vial of mercury sitting on the coffee table and shake it, watching the light glint off its silver surface. Up here in the Cities of Angels, USA, magicians worry about good and evil, white magic versus black. All magicians think about those differences. Not downtown, they don't. Hellions understand something we don't, that there is no white magic, there is no black magic, there's just magic. You could kill with a healing spell as easily as with a curse. If you were having a heart attack right now, I could do a spell to slow your heart and keep it from beating out of your chest. I could regulate your blood pressure, bring it up or down, but I can use those same spells if you aren't having a heart attack. I can turn down your blood pressure until you pass out, slow and stop your heart, and you'd be just as dead as if I'd hexed you. Yeah, this isn't Hellboy. People will know. There are rules up here. Not for me. I don't even know if they can read my magic up here, if it will even disturb the ether. Vidocq picks up and then sets down his wine glass with a thud. Loudly, he says, Then why don't you use it? Go on. Go on and do a location charm for Mason right now. I set down the mercury and look around the unfamiliar room. I can't. I don't know what will happen. The magic might not show up at all, or it might go off like fireworks at the Super Bowl. I can't take a chance on anyone knowing I'm back. Vidocq smiles and wags his finger at me. So, for all your power, you have no power at all. That's a little funny, don't you think? Yeah, I have guns. Yes, you'll conquer the whole Subrosa with guns. More Roy Rogers bullshit. I think about that for a minute. There are things I used in the arena. I'm going to have to get some weapons made. I need to find someone who can work with metal. You must let me help you, says Vidocq intently. Let me help keep this plan of yours from going too far. I know that you've come back to Le Merdier, this world of shit, but where else is there for you to go? You must live here. You must have a name. You must be a man again. What's that old Sunday school warning about how if you fight dragons too long, you can become one? That's been spinning around in my head for years, long enough that I know I'd rather be a dragon than a sheep to the slaughter. Maybe in some kinder, gentler version of the world, I can walk away from the circle, get zen, and forgive them for what they did to me. But I can't forgive them for Alice. Never for that. Maybe I'm not worth killing for, but she is. I should go. I have to meet someone. I lie. I set the guns back in the oilcloth and wrap them up. I'm feeling a little ashamed of myself, like I'm letting down the old man. Without looking at him, I ask, Do you want to meet up tomorrow? Of course. I make it out the door before he can give me another French bear hug. I steer the Mercedes west toward the one other place in town that makes my skin crawl almost as much as the old apartment. I turn off Sunset and onto Laurel Canyon Boulevard. The change from Hollywood to Beverly Hills is always sudden and startling, like flipping a switch. Bus fumes and strip mall nail salons transform to trimmed green lawns and stately homes. This isn't movie star Beverly Hills, but the older part. The homes are large, but not bloated parade floats. It looks like grown-ups might have lived here. After crossing Mulholland, I turned right into a maze of streets all named Donia. Donia Isabel, Donia Marta, Donia Sarita. When I find the right Donia, I park and sit for a minute, thinking. I should have seen something like this coming. Things have been going too easy since I got back. Brad Pitt wasn't my fuck you, welcome back to the world. This is. There's no need to get out of the car, but I do anyway. Cross the street to the empty lot where Mason's house, the place where our magic circle used to meet, once stood. The vacant lot looks corrupt and out of place. In this perfect landscape, like a starlet showing rotten teeth behind her $1,000,000 smile, tall weeds grow through the sandy soil. There's a faded sign with the name of a real estate developer and a "coming soon" message on the top. But it doesn't look like anyone has set foot anywhere near the lot in years. The sun is going down fast. When a breeze picks up, I feel a chill. I know it's all in my head. Even at Christmas, LA isn't that cold, but it doesn't stop my teeth from chattering. Night is coming on fast, and I walk back to the Mercedes, get in, and light up one of the last few cigarettes from the pack Carlos gave me. I look at the empty lot and wonder what happened there. It doesn't look like the house burned. From what I remember, this neighborhood is on bedrock, so it probably didn't fall down in a quake. It just went away. I know I should go over and walk around to see if I can find something that could point me to Mason and the others, but not tonight. The shit and sulfur smell when I was dragged to hell through the basement floor are coming back strong. I stay in the car, and when the last of the cigarette is gone, I flick the butt onto one of the manicured lawns and drive away. I ditched the Mercedes a few blocks from Max Overdrive. At another time, it would break my heart to have to leave such a brilliant machine behind, but LA is an all-you-can-eat car buffet, and now that I've seen what the knife does to locks and ignitions, I'm never going to starve. I grab the oilcloth bundle with the guns and the bags with my new clothes. When I get to the store, it's closed, but I rap on the glass and Allegra lets me in. Damn, she says, you clean up pretty good. Thanks. It feels nice being complimented by a human woman. The few kind words I'd heard in the last 11 years usually came from hellions that looked like something a snake had just thrown up. Did you lose your key? I forgot it. I haven't had to carry one for a while. Where did you live that you didn't need keys? She looks at something in her hand that's beeping at her. It looks like a TV remote, fucked a little typewriter, and this is the bastard offspring. She types something on the tiny typewriter with her thumbs and smiles. What's that you're playing with? You've never seen one of these? It's a BlackBerry. Is it like a phone? But you're typing with it. I've got it now. You've been in a coma since the 70s. No, abducted by aliens. You nailed me. Claudio Barada Nicto. The day the earth stood still, right? That was one of my favorites when I was a kid. Me too. So why are you typing on your BlackBerry thing? Just BlackBerry. Like you. Just Stark. She turns the little device so I can see it better. You can talk on it, or you can send text messages. It's like email, only it's instant. You've heard of email, right? Sure, but why would you type something to someone? Why not just call them? Sometimes texting is more fun, or like now, if you're sending someone an address, it's nice to have it in writing. What's that on the screen? It's Google Maps. I looked up the address so I could give Michelle directions. She clicks and the little screen changes. See, you just get on the net and enter the address. You have the internet on that? If I got the internet, I could look things up on it, right? Like names, places, history. First off, you don't get the internet. It's the web, and you don't get it. You use it. And yeah, you can look up anything you want. Can I get one of these? She looks at me like I really have spent a decade with Martians. Of course. You just have to figure out what kind you want. She types a few more words into the BlackBerry and puts it in her coat pocket. Thanks, I say. No problem. I've got to go and meet some friends. Can you lock up after me? Sure. Good night. I haven't used keys for a while. What a stupid damn thing to say. I could see it in her eyes. She's wondering if I'm flat out crazy or a recent jailbird. Worse, she's wondering if I've done something to Kasabian. Plus, she's wondering about what's wrapped in the dirty oilcloth. I'll have to start locking the upstairs door. I'll have to do something about her suspicions, too, but I don't know what, and I'm not going to figure it out tonight. I take my bags and the bundle with the guns upstairs and drop them on the bed. Tomorrow I'll check into the BlackBerry thing. Having the internet or web or whatever with me will help me catch up on the world and maybe keep me sounding like a newly landed Martian. I go over and open Kasabian's closet. Morning, Sunshine. Sleep well? There's a cheesy infomercial playing on the TV. Some guy in a chef's uniform is waving kitchen utensils around. You ever see these knives, man? I might just have to get a set. They cut right through soda cans and bricks. If I ever start eating bricks, I'll come by and borrow them. You had any thoughts about our conversation last night? Like where I can find some of the old crowd? Kasabian doesn't look at me, but keeps staring at the TV. You know, they never rust, and you never have to sharpen them. They're amazing. They're almost magic. You're really not in a position to be fucking with anybody right now. He finally aims his eyes up at me. You think so? I think I'm in exactly the position where I can do any goddamn thing I want. You want to kill me? Go ahead. I wasn't exactly having an e-ticket life before now, and now I don't even have that. You're not getting your body back. Someday maybe, but not right now. He turns back to the TV. Did you meet Allegra? That is one sweet little piece of Art Girl Scooter. It's not like I fucked her yet or anything, but New Year's is coming, and I figure some champagne and a couple of roofies, and I'll finally know if the carpet matches the drapes. Whether you mean any of that or not, you really are just puke on two legs. I don't have any legs, asshole. He nods towards his body. Oh, did I offend the serial killer? I'm so sorry. Murder anyone today? Cut off any friends' heads? I recognize the pose, the B-movie defiance. I tried the same thing in hell. It's hard to scare someone who thinks he has nothing to lose. The trick is to remind him that there's always something left to lose. For some, it's family or friends. For a creep like Kasabian, demonstrating the possibility of future loss is easy. I get his gun from the bed, wrap it in a towel from the bathroom, and fire off 3 shots in the direction of his body. Are you fucking crazy? He screams, I need that. All of it? You've got 2 knees, 2 kidneys. That's a spare for each. Fuck you, you fucking fuck. You want to answer some questions, or do you want me to play William Tell? You know, this right here, this is why it was so easy for Mason to sell you out, and why the rest of us didn't really care. Why was that? Because you're such a dick. He raises his eyebrows at me, hoping I'll react. I don't. Back with the circle? Christ, you were just a punk kid, and you had all this power, more than any of the rest of us, including Mason. But did you care? Hell no. It came all too easy for you. The rest of us had to kill ourselves studying to get the simplest spell to work. Most of the time, you didn't even pretend to study the books. You'd just make up something on the spot, and angels would fly out of your ass. Do you know how that made the rest of us feel? So you sent me to hell because I hurt your feelings? No, because you hurt Mason's. You never let up on that guy. If I gave Mason a hard time, it's because he deserved it. Always going on about being such a great dark magician. He didn't want to learn anything from magic. He didn't even want to have fun with it. He just wanted to be Lex Luthor. I might not have given him so much grief if I'd known what a little hothouse flower he was. See? You're still doing it. But for all your bullshit and your show-off magic, Mason beat you, didn't he? You could pull magic out of the air, but he ended up with real power. And you ended up blowing demons for 11 years. Every night, before I go to sleep, I cherish the look on your face as they dragged your ass down to hell. Without looking where I'm aiming, I pop off a couple more rounds in the direction of his body. Stop it, goddammit! What do you want to know? Same thing I wanted yesterday. Where's the rest of the circle? I toss the gun onto the bed. God, I want a cigarette. Let's try something different. You're right here. So, where's Jane Ann? If Donald Trump and the Wicked Witch of the West had a kid, it would be Jane Ann. She looks like a librarian with some money and good taste in clothes, but underneath the Versace, she's Godzilla with tits. She isn't as powerful a magician as Mason, but next to him, she's the most focused and ruthless. In her way, scarier than Bad Dog Parker. I don't know. I heard she's got some kind of movie business gig. And what about Cherry Moon? Crack open a pedophile's piñata and Cherry Moon is the candy that falls out. She's a lollipop doll? One of a gang of girls who take their manga and anime a little too seriously. They all want to grow up to be Sailor Moon, and Cherry had the magical skill to do it. Last time I saw her, she was in high gothic Lolita drag, radiating rough sex and looking all of 12 years old. I also don't know about her. Someone said she's running some kind of spa or plastic surgery thing for rich assholes. I'm glad to hear that everyone's using their new power for such worthy causes. We all gotta eat. I mean, not me right now, but generally. Where's TJ? He rolls his eyes when I say the name. That fucking hippie? After the lurkers grabbed you, he bawled like a little girl for days. Some people aren't cut out for real life. Lurker is what the Subrosa call any secretive, magical, mystical, or monstrous freak that isn't them. A naiad is a lurker, so are zombies and werewolves. Undercover cops are secretive and sometimes monsters, but they aren't lurkers, they're just pricks. Where is he? Sucking dirt in Woodlawn. That dude hung himself a week after you went bye-bye. Guess he couldn't get the monsters out of his head. Poor dumb kid. TJ was even younger than me. He would have been 16 or 17 back then, but Kasabian is right about one thing. Some people aren't built to see the dark side of magic or deal with the vicious parts of life. TJ never belonged in our little wolf pack. In a way, I was glad he was gone. I hadn't been looking forward to hunting him down. I guess we covered Mason and Parker last night. Mason's gone and he took Parker with him. Do I have that right? Yeah, and don't ask me about them because I don't know. People see Parker around town sometimes, usually right before some other nosy magician gets his neck broken. The thought of an attack dog like Parker and a Darth Vader wannabe like Mason running wild with heads full of Hellion hoodoo does not take me to a happy place. And the two of them could be holed up anywhere, from Glendale to Bhutan. You been out to the old house yet? Pretty, isn't it? What happened to it? I don't know. Maybe Mason took the house with him. Did you find anything good when you went inside? Inside what? The house is gone. What's there to find? You simple son of a bitch. The basement's still there. You gotta go underground. Kasabian gives me an appraising look. What, did you just drive up and leave? Pretty tough guy. Beautiful. Now I have to burrow like a groundhog into Mason's basement to the same room where he summoned those things to take me downtown. Nothing can possibly go wrong with this plan. When I turn to leave, Kasabian yells at me, Hey asshole, I gave you information. At least let me have a cigarette. I'm out. So tonight we both suffer. I'll pick up more tomorrow. I step out of the closet, and just before I close the door, I say, hey, I almost forgot. Your car was parked in a 2-hour zone, and I was afraid you were going to get a ticket, so I gave your car away. You what? Sweet dreams. Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop for tonight. If you just tuned in the middle of it, I've been reading Richard Kadrey, Sandman Slim. Check it out. But yeah, I guess that'll do it for tonight, and we'll pick up tomorrow with some more story time. All right.